Hi, and welcome to the first episode of the It Girl podcast. I am here with
Gab Waller.
We are so excited. She is the fashion sorcerer to the stars, such an it girl who dresses other it girls, which is my favorite. And we're going to talk about her journey and all things it girl. So give us a little insight into how you got started and how you got into fashion to begin with.
Amazing. So I started my company 5 years ago from Australia, and prior to that, I was dabbling in styling. It was the most organic route for me to kind of enter the fashion world, but I didn't really feel that passion that I now feel about sourcing.
Styling is a very
fire.
hard job.
It is.
It's a lot more work than anyone realizes.
1,000%. And it's also, well, back then, I guess still now, it was, it's a pretty heavily saturated market. So I really wanted to do something unique. I always had that desire to just start something completely new that did not exist. And so I fell into the concept of fashion sourcing. Back then, I was referring to it as personal shopping, this term of sourcing kind of came later in my career journey, but I started it from Sydney, Australia, and I knew within 3 months that I was onto something, that it was gaining traction just through word of mouth. And in 2021 September is when I relocated to the States here in Los Angeles.
What made you want to come to LA?
The US has always been my fastest growing client market. So for me, it was both a professional and personal decision, because professionally, I knew my career. I was ready to take it to the next level. And of course, the States gives you the opportunity to do that. But then personally, I'm such an LA girl. I love LA so much. So I just love the lifestyle here. And I knew that it's where I wanted to kind of take my next step in my life.
And were you always into fashion? Is that something you've always been interested in? Is that where your entire career started? Was that in fashion?
Not necessarily. So I'm from a very small town in Australia. It's called Rockhampton, and it's pretty country. And growing up, I never even thought fashion would be an option for me. It's nothing, I didn't grow up in it. My parents and my whole family had nothing to do with fashion. So it wasn't even in my mind as being an idea of a career that I could take. So it almost feels like a double life, but straight out of school, I went into working for the government, and I spent
that's a big jump.
I know. It's when I talk about it, it's kind of it's bizarre. Straight out of school, I went into work for the government, and I worked for them for 5 years, ended up going up to the federal government. And then that creative desire within me kind of just kept sneaking out. I'm like, what am I doing? I need to, at that time I was earning a pretty good amount of money for I was in my early 20s, and I was starting to buy fashion pieces for myself.
You were the most fashionable girl in the government office. I love it.
I think I was. Even colleagues back then, they're like, God, what are you doing here? You need to go and do fashion. I was like, you're so right. And so I quit, and I went out on my fashion journey.
That's incredible, especially where you are now. Just because a lot of people, fashion is one of those industries where you need to know people.
Definitely.
It's almost impossible if you don't know people. That's your story is rare. It's always my dad did this, or my mom did this. My mom was in this. It's just it's so tight knit.
Yes.
That it's so hard to be I was working for the government and now I'm at Vogue. Hi. They don't know. It doesn't normally go so well.
It's very true.
I know that you had a huge boost from a Celine coat that you sourced for Rosie.
Yes.
And what was that experience like? How did that come about?
Yes. So to take you back, I was about 6 months into the business, and I saw Rosie post on her Instagram stories that she was looking for a particular coat. And I knew at the time that I could find the coat. I just had no way of accessing Rosie.
How did you know you could find the coat?
I was speaking with a boutique a week earlier in Copenhagen, out of all places, and they offered me the coat. They're like, we have one. And it was a popular coat. But at that time, I didn't have a client for it, I think, because, my client base was still pretty small. And so I declined the code. And then when Rosie posted, I was like, is that code still available? And she's like, yes,
so meant to be.
I know, the whole thing was so meant to be. You cannot make it up. It's just, and that's why I know still to this day, I'm on my journey, I'm on the right journey of my life. But yeah, so she got the coat. I sourced the coat for her. I got in touch with her through a mutual friend or connection here in the States. She put me in touch with her. she purchased the coat, and I said very casually, it would mean the world to me if you did an Instagram story when it arrived. And not only did she do an Instagram story, but she posted it on her feed saying, thank you, Gab Waller, so much. And it changed my life overnight. I remember very, very clearly waking up that morning. I still had a housemate at that time. I was, really just starting my career, but things changed overnight. Press kind of came within like 24 hours, and then I would never say that it was like overnight success for my company, because there was a lot that happened in that 6 months prior, but it was like an overnight explosion of just a lot of limelight on my name.
What a girl's girl she
I
is.
know,
That's
I
a lot
know.
of, especially models and stuff like, a lot of those girls are, you can pay them and they still don't post anything, let alone just asking. You can pay and they run off with stuff. So that's so amazing that she's such a girl's girl. Shout out to her for being a real it girl and promoting you and being honest about where she got it, and not, hey, I'll do it, but it's going to cost you this much. That's much more typical for this business.
100%.
And do you still work with her?
I do, yes.
Oh, that's
just
amazing.
within like the past 24 hours, she got a Miu Miu bag. So hopefully she'll be snapped with that soon.
What is the craziest thing you've been asked to source?
Craziest thing that I've been asked to source? That's a great question. I would say definitely the crazier requests are the vintage pieces. The new season, which does make up a lot of my business, I tend to say they're pretty easy to get. I have, eyes and ears all over the world, but vintage requests are definitely the ones that are, that are more tricky. But in terms of crazy, I mean, I do get random requests like of things, non-fashion items like kids' toys, and I like a pool, like a blow-up pool thing that was like sold out everywhere. I'm like, I think I'm just going to stick to my lane and what I do, and that's fashion. So it's hard to say no. That's one thing I'm not good at, is saying no. But yeah, the best thing about it is that every single day there's something different and something like a new request in my folder.
What is your favorite thing that you've sourced that you were like, I didn't know if I could do this, but I made it happen?
Oh, that's a great question. The one example that jumps to mind straight away is Khloe Kardashian is a new client since relocating here to Los Angeles, and it was for it was a 4th birthday or 5th birthday, and she wanted her and True to be matching in Dior, like vintage Dior oblique looks, and so the turnaround time was very, very quick, but she wanted a matching piece for True, and they didn't really make pieces back then for kids. So I sourced it like a really old vintage jacket, coat, and they made a dress out of it for little True. And it was like one of those things, and like seeing them, like Khloe was in like a vintage Dior corset top with these little pants, and we got a coat as well. It was the fabric that I sourced for it. And just to see that, like, everything told me that's not possible, especially with the turnaround time. But that's one thing. Like, if someone tells me something's not possible, I am 1,000% more driven to like make it happen.
Oh, I love that. It's so powerful. And how does that process work? So Khloe wants a piece. What does she do next?
Yeah, so it's usually texted to me with the request.
From her stylist?
It's usually her assistant.
Okay.
Yeah, so I work with like her internal team, and then I go out on my journey to locate it. So
wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
Is there anything that has proven to be impossible that you're like, this is the item that I just could not get? My mind goes to Birkins.
Oh, yeah. So, unfortunately, I don't source Birkins, which is not the news I tend to like to share, but Birkin and Kelly bags are the 2 bags I don't accept requests for. But in terms of the pieces, I would say it's not so much the item itself. Like, I can find the one item, but because I'm dealing with a lot of trending items, it's the quantity in that I need to source. It's like 10 plus of the Miu Miu bag, to give you an example, that really becomes challenging. And that's why it's so important for my business to have eyes and ears all over the globe.
That's great. And how do you find people in other countries? You just put your feelers out?
Yeah. So in the early days, I found them through, mutual friends. I would say, do you know someone that's based here? It typically was an Aussie that may be living overseas. And now I'm very, very often, we have a careers email address, and I'm like certainly weekly receiving, applications. I'm based in Italy, I'm based in Dubai, I'm based wherever it may be. And so, yeah, I've kind of built my team from there, and I take it very serious in that, we go through an interview process. Like, this person is representing the Gab Waller company on the ground. So it's not as if I'm just saying yes to anyone. It's a very thorough process, and the team I've built, there's about 15 of us now. It's very strong, and some of them have been with me from day one. So
that's incredible to have such a network. Is there a reason you don't source Kelly's and Birkin? Is it because it's just such a hassle and a process?
Yeah, so for those 2 bags, I wouldn't be able to source the quantity that I would love to source directly from the boutique. So in that case, I would have to turn to what we would call a third party, and I don't trust it. All it would take is one for authentication purposes and everything like that, for everything to go upside down. So it's just, if it's not coming directly from the boutique, I'm extremely particular. Even for vintage, I work with like less than 5 vintage dealers, because authentication to me is like the most important thing in the world. And for Birkin and Kelly bags, I just can't guarantee the authenticity from the third party, so I would rather not risk it.
No, that is such a complicated, and it's just such a process, and they're so rare. I
I
find the whole thing to be intimidating. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm a huge fan, just because the schmoozing and the process and the rarity, and it's just so much work and effort for a bag. It's just so hard. I'm like, I think I'll just go get a Chanel and call it a day. I just don't have it in me. Are you a fan of them though?
I love MS. Yeah, definitely an MS girl.
I do love it. I just feel like the process, especially as a sourcer, I couldn't imagine being the one responsible to find that one Himalayan Birkin.
Yes.
It just feels like so intimidating and such a stretch that I totally understand not wanting to deal with all of that.
Yes.
Have you had any? When I worked in fashion, I know some of my craziest experiences were just our fashion emergencies that were just wild. Have you had any crazy cutting it close moments?
Ooh, cutting it close moments. I feel the one that does jump into mind is weddings. So I source a lot of pieces for clients' weddings.
Stressful.
I know. And it's usually, Gab, I just had my last fitting. My shoe doesn't fit. Like, I urgently need this. And so those, I get really adrenaline is running to like really make it happen. So I would say in terms of emergencies, it's more the urgency that's put into the particular request. And there's, weddings are a big one. I have a lot of clients that just want their finishing pieces to their look, and it tends to be last minute. Usually.
What kind of pieces do people typically ask for? It's shoes that they're looking for most of the time. Do you do dresses?
I don't. The only time I've perhaps saw some dresses if it's like the night before.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
I know.
Yeah.
A little bit, not the actual wedding dress itself. And I think the reason for that is those are the type of pieces that the clients can get themselves. So, what I'm seeing a lot of is like vintage dresses being worn the night before. So I love those requests. I do love vintage requests because I find they are the most challenging. And for me, the more challenging, the better, because it feels more rewarding once the item has been found.
I love the idea of sourcing like a vintage reception dress, and that's such an it girl
vibe. That is
that's very iconic. I love that. I feel like in this day and age, it's more important than even the wedding dress now is what you wear before and after everyone's looking at.
Yes.
So that's a really good one. I didn't know you did weddings. Oh,
yes.
Not that I'm getting married, but I'm going to have to keep that in mind. All our it girls are going to have to keep that in mind for a great reception dress.
Please,
what is something that you see trending right now with your celebrity clientele? They're reaching out and they're looking for, you said Miu Miu. Is that what is coming up that you're like, okay, this is the trending thing that or brand that everyone's wanting?
Trending at the moment. So I feel Gucci is having a moment.
Really?
Which is very exciting. Yes, they really set off. The most trending color right now is this like wine oxblood colorway. You could call it burgundy. There's all different terms for it. We are seeing that everywhere, and I feel like Gucci really set that off. It's like their new brand color essentially. So we're seeing that everywhere. We're seeing it even in collections for fall winter. So we're seeing it in current spring summer through to fall winter 24. So I don't see that going away anytime soon. Miu Miu for absolute sure that they are just the way that they've changed over the past 5 years since I started my company. Like in my first 2 years, did not get a single Miu Miu request. And suddenly it's just the girls love Miu Miu and they're doing so well. I feel their pieces are so cute. There's a particular sneaker right now that they have that's completely sold out. So yeah, I'm really excited for those brands. And then, of course, Chanel. Chanel always.
Oh, that's like, no, that's all. Even going into the store is a process now. I remember, like, I've been in line and I'm like, I remember you did not have to wait in line to get in here. You could just pop in.
Yes.
It's absolutely crazy. Is there a specific Chanel piece everyone's looking for?
Ooh, Chanel piece that everyone is looking for right now. Oh, for sure. It is the Chanel Mary Jane's little ballet flats. They were on the runway in that white. It's like a cotton and silk mix, and they've released them in leather in a multitude of colorways. This beautiful baby pink, which is so cute. But they're one of my most requested styles right now.
I remember when Chanel ballet flats, you couldn't like get them off the shelves. Oh, yeah. It's crazy how they've come back around.
1,000%. I'm even wearing some as we speak.
Oh, they're so cute. And I had a pair, and I remember I sold them for like $100 because I was like, no one wears flats anymore. Flats will. I told myself, I said, flats will never come back. No one's ever gonna want these Chanel flats. I sold them for literally $100.
Oh my
And I was like, I'll never wear flats again. And now I'm like, I need Chanel flats immediately. It's so crazy how cyclical it is.
I hear you.
It's absolutely crazy.
I hear you completely.
And you write for Vogue.
Yes.
I read your article this month on your pieces that all the girlies are wearing and that the girls need. How did that relationship come about?
Yeah, so last year, it was actually pretty much around this time last year, May, I traveled to New York and I had a meeting in the Vogue office, and I thought it was just a bit of a meet and greet and, you know, catch up. And I walked in and we were chatting and they said, how would you feel about doing a monthly column for us? And it was in that moment I was like, this is too good to be true. I really had to pretend to be calm, and it all happened really quickly. My first column went up, I believe it was in June, so we're getting very close to a year, and they called it the hot list. I select 20 pieces of like the must-have pieces of the moment from, you know, the requests that I've received that month, and I love it. I never knew I would love writing so much, but it's something I put a lot into, truthfully. I really am very selective about those 20 pieces. I do a lot of research on it, and yeah, it's amazing. I love it.
No, that's such an iconic, and it's so, you're the perfect person for it. I mean, you're the one who knows what the it girls are looking for, and you kind of have that behind the scenes intel of, okay, this is what they're going to be wearing because I'm the one who's out here looking for it.
It's so true. Yes.
Is that something that you want to continue? We talk about how it girls, it can be kind of a flash in the pan, especially in fact, you know, girls pop up and they disappear all the time. What are your plans for longevity? Where do you want to take it? Do you want to be writing for more magazines? How do you want to expand?
Yeah, great question. One focus point for myself personally is I feel, looking to the year ahead, I really do want to create, you know, my identity outside of my fashion sourcing work, because that is a lot of my identity of what I do is based on essentially my work. You know, she's the girl that can source things, and it's like there's so much more to me than just that person. And so that's something that I'm really excited to dig deeper for the year ahead. And I'm very happy that from day one I separated my Instagrams. I have my business account and my personal account, because I do want to share more personal things on my personal Instagram. And so that's something that's really important to me looking ahead, because, you know, I have for the past 5 years just been so connected to the business. And of course, I love what I do so much, but there is so much more to me than just the girl that can source the items that everybody wants.
And do you see yourself having a fashion line?
I haven't thought about that. No, I don't think fashion line is in the horizon for me. I think for me, my focus will always be, you know, going back to, of course, fashion sourcing. I just think one thing that I really want to do is just inspire girls that, you know, are like me, that grew up in the middle of nowhere, to say like, hey, wow, she didn't know anyone. She did not have these fashion connections, but look how far she's come. So I think for me, my focus point is more on, you know, inspiring through like education and how to be the next personal shopper and how to be a fashion sourcer and things like that, because I just want to inspire the next, you know, generation that are coming through, and to say that all of this is possible. You can do it too.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And to just work your way up to being to write for Vogue is no small feat. That's incredible. It really is. Especially that's one of those places where you just have to know people. So to be asked in is so incredible.
Yeah.
Do you have a dream client that you're working on that you're like, this is someone that I hope I'm able to source for?
That's a great question. Dream client right now. I would love to be sourcing maybe for Alex Earl. I think. Yes, she's been on my horizon. I'm like, I would love to find something for her. I feel like she's an it girl.
Yeah, she's definitely in it. She is the internet it girl for sure. That would be a good one.
I think so.
I feel like she would come to you to find her a bag. I could see her wanting some kind of bag that's very trendy.
Yeah, exactly. I've kind of, kept an eye on like her style and what she's wearing, and I can see that. Yeah.
Maybe like a little Chanel or something or something rare. I could totally see that. No, that would be a cute.
We're going to manifest that one.
That would be a cute collab.
Yes.
And what role do it girls play in your business?
Huge role. Yeah. So I would say that in terms of the requests that I receive, a huge percentage of them do come from it girls, like influencers that are just out there showing what they're wearing every single day. Of course, celebrities do drive a lot of my requests, but I do feel it is more of those like it girls, like, because I think too, they're so inspiring. We you want to dress like them, you want to wear what they're wearing, and it's it's attainable to be able to get your hands on those pieces. So I think for my business in particular, they play a massive role.
And other than, we know the Rosie coat, but has there been other moments with it girls that have been really defining for you, or career changing, or just something you had on a list that you didn't think you could check off?
Definitely Sofia Richie Grainge. Yeah. So last year, after the wedding, she was and is a massive it girl. The amount of requests that I would receive from her wedding looks and just looks now, I feel that if you had asked me the question of who is your dream client, it certainly would have been Sofia. And so to be working with her now is like such
How did she find you?
I've actually known Sofia for some time.
Okay.
We have quite a few mutual friends. So I knew her. We've kind of been in touch over the years, just very friendly kind of conversations, but I hadn't started sourcing for her until last year. So I think at that point we were already following each other on Instagram and everything like that, but she was dream. So I think that to me was, to have her as a client, I still can't believe it.
What are some pieces, if you can say, that you've sourced for her?
So just recently I've sourced her Chanel baby pink classic bag, the Mary Janes, the pink ones that I was referring to. What else have we got? We've got quite a few Alaya ballet flats together, the studded and the fishnets. She
wears those so well.
She does. She really has such good style. I love her style so much. What else have I got from Sofia? Oh, one thing that I think was so exciting to find, it was an old Celine dress, and she posted on her stories tagging best find or something along those wordings, and that was a moment that was really so exciting to find that. So yeah, we've found quite a few things together now.
That's so exciting. I feel like, and her style has evolved so much and impacted so many other girls' style that it kind of defines what's in.
100%.
And I feel like she's brought Chanel to a modern audience in such a way. I feel like younger women were just not into Chanel in that way. And because of her, she just made it so wearable. Yeah. Especially the clothing. Yeah. I feel like we never saw young girls wearing Chanel dresses or sweaters. It was such an older market. And now because of her, it's like everybody wants to be in Chanel all the time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
She made it so chic and young. Yes. I love it. Do you have a trend prediction for this spring of what you think you're going to be seeing all the it girls in?
Oh, great question. I would say, of course, the burgundy colorway, 100%. I would say, what else is kind of really popping up? I would say definitely like Mary Jane's again. And then, what else?
Have you seen a big increase in Western wear?
Oh, that's a really good question. I started to see the increase yet? I've definitely seen it. I'm aware of it and watching it and keeping an eye on it. has it trickled into my request yet? Not quite yet, only because I think the brands are yet to completely jump on it, especially like the luxury brands. I will not be surprised if, next season, for example, Khloe is, although that's more like boho chic, but I feel as though a lot of their pieces with the new designer coming in, that's a great example of, it has a little bit of a Western feel to it, and I think that collection, when it drops, is going to go wild. So the whole Western thing is so interesting. I'm keeping a very close eye on it.
All the it girls that we asked, like, what's a trend that's coming? They're like, Western. I'm into Western. And I'm like, I just did not think that would ever be, that the it girls would want to be wearing cowboy hats and cowboy boots. It's great. I love it. I think it's great. But I feel like that was just, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
No, it's very, very true. I'm sure, we've all seen some Coachella looks over the past weekend. It was everywhere there, but it's only going to get bigger.
I feel like you're going to be sourcing some cowboy boots soon.
I am so ready for it. Yes, actually, Chanel, speaking of, it's an older style, but they have some cowboy boots.
No.
The navy and black, and they are just,
oh my gosh.
Yes, of course they're sold out, but they're
Have you been hunting for them?
I have.
I'm going to need you to find me those. That's crazy. Oh my gosh, Chanel cowboy boots.
I know.
That is a look.
I know.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Do you have a favorite luxury brand that for you just exemplifies style and what you stand for?
Great question. I would say for me, I'm all about investing in the high quality, timeless pieces right now. I think I'm in that stage that I just, really want to wear my pieces on constant rotation, because some of the pieces that I purchased in the past are a little bit of a one-hit wonder type situation. But so Kate and the Row are two of my bread and butter. I love them so much. And then if I'm more evening and going out, I love Magda Bertram so much. If I could see myself as a brand, it's probably Magda. And then splash in some Miu Miu in there as well. I love the Miu Miu girl I love her.
Is there a piece that you've invested in that you regret?
From any of those brands? Truthfully, no. Like, one of my most recent is the Loro Piana L19 in the ostrich.
Oh, that's beautiful.
She's quite the investment, but I wear it so much, and it's just such a classic bag. I know that I am going to have this forever, so there's no regrets. Of course, at the time, you're kind of like, oof, this certainly hurts a little bit.
So you haven't fallen into any trends that are...
I'm very careful with that. I think in the early days, my first 6 to 12 months, I was terrible at that. Any trend that came along, and I would constantly, because I'm dealing with trending pieces, I would want that piece too. And then it got to that stage, I'm like, this isn't even my style. Why am I buying this? And so I had that almost like epiphany moment. And so I've been great ever since. I'm surprisingly a very selective shopper.
That's good.
Yes.
That's what you want. I have fallen into some trends that are just, I'm like, this is going to sit in my closet until the end of time. And I've been like, maybe it'll come back around. And like, I'm going to hold out that all of a sudden this is going to come back around. But I've fallen into, like, I have the platform Gucci sneakers.
Yes.
I've got some loafers that are just so offensively uncomfortable. I can't, I'm like, it's been 3 years and they're not broken in. I'm like, they're never going to be broken in. And I'm like, I fell in the trap.
Yes. It's very easy to do, especially with social media. And then you see it posted everywhere and you're like, no, I need that too. Of course I need that. So I have definitely trained myself, and I'm even, somewhat, I try to guide my clients too that, although the pieces that we're investing in, we want to ensure that I always talk about cost per wear. If we're buying that per piece, it's worth it. Girl math. That's it. I'm a girl math girly. Like, you need to be wearing that piece on constant rotation to know that it's worth every dollar.
And then technically it comes out to being like $1.
That's what I mean. That is just basic math.
If you wear it every day, it was $5. It doesn't. That's girl math. If you wear it every day, you spend no money on it whatsoever, and it just doesn't matter. Cost per wear.
Cost per wear.
That's a great girl math piece of advice. Yes. Break it down to cost per wear.
Yes.
Is there a trend that you would never wear, or some trends that you just really wish you could see go away that you're like, this is not it?
This one's a bit more of a fleeting trend where I don't believe it's going to pick up, but we've all heard about mob wife aesthetic, etc. I just cannot do leopard. I really can't. It's not been my thing. So that's one that for myself personally, I wouldn't wear. I just don't think it suits me. So that's one trend that I'm like, let's just let that one ride on out. But yeah, other than that.
We get Crocs a lot. How do you feel about Crocs?
Oh, yeah.
Hard no?
Hard no. Yeah.
Low-rise jeans.
I love a low-rise jean.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What about jorts?
Oh, great question.
That took over.
Oh, that really
Jorts where I was like, we're wearing jorts? I don't want to wear, some girls look great, but I'm like, I don't want to wear jorts.
No, that's so it. And look, not for me, could not pull it off. I'm not it's just not my style. But I have seen some girls and I'm like, you're the coolest girl in the world.
It takes a level of cool.
Yeah, it does.
Takes a level of cool.
Yeah,
for sure.
Really
Are there some brands that you would say would not make a great investment? That maybe you're asked to source and you're like, I just don't think that this is something that I would spend.
I guess, all of my requests are within that more luxury realm. So I do feel, this space is like, it is worth investing in because you are going to get that higher quality. I really don't get any, I definitely don't get any fast fashion brands. So
oh, good. I would hope nobody would go to a sourcer and be like, okay, can you source this Zara top for me?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's not happening. So no, I would say there's none that I can think of.
And what is your best advice to girls wanting to get into fashion or get into the space in any capacity?
Don't be afraid or deterred by rejection because you will certainly face it, especially in the early days when you're building up what you are building. If I go back to my early days, again, I was not a VIP with these brands. They had never heard of me. So to walk into XYZ and be like, hey, I want to get the hottest piece right now. Of course, I was told no so many times. And if I had to let that just deter me or push me back, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I would say that's the biggest thing. You are going to face rejection. You are going to face a lot of no's. Still to this day, I get it all the time. So just push past that. Have a really strong vision and really strong goals and just keep going for it.
Is there something you wish you had known when you were starting your business that looking back, you're like, this would have changed everything had I known this, especially as a female business owner?
Yeah. I think, looking back, wish I had known something. I know there's going to be something that'll jump into my mind. I'll be driving home and I'm like, I wish that was said. But I think the biggest thing is just don't be afraid of taking those risks, especially early on. I don't have a business background per se, so I think I was a little bit scared to do things and I perhaps waited a little bit longer to launch things or start things or say things or whatever it may be. Don't be afraid to take those risks. Even if they fail, which some may do, it's better than always wondering what if or, I should have done that earlier, which is in my case, some of those things.
Has that been your biggest regret so far as maybe or misstep so far where you're like, I could have done this earlier?
For sure. Yeah. One just example is I was always really scared to hire my first employee just of, what if I don't have enough money? What if I don't have enough funds? What if, something happens and the business dies tomorrow? I'm responsible for this employee. So I think I was always a bit scared in the early days. And if I had have done it earlier, I would have perhaps saved myself a lot of stress in those early days doing everything myself, but we could have accelerated at twice the speed. Now knowing that, us hiring employees really does accelerate and grow your speed tremendously. So I think that would have been one thing that I just would have regretted and wish I had done earlier.
How many employees do you have now?
So I have 2 full-time assistants. They both are based in our Los Angeles office. And then the team is about 15.
Wow.
Including 2 content girls who do our TikTok.
Wow. So, how has that process been now that you have a team? Is it been better? Has it been intimidating?
It's definitely better. 1,000% better. It's one of my greatest joys is building the team and having the team and seeing the joy that their job brings them, and what we're doing is so exciting and really is changing the fashion industry. I strongly, strongly feel passionate about that. So it's been amazing. And Colin and Ality are my 2 assistants based here in LA, and I love it. It's just, we've got a really beautiful, very hardworking team.
Is your team predominantly women?
No, actually. I would say So, Colin, was my first US employee, male, and then Amory, who was my very first sourcing assistant. He's been with me from almost like 1 month into the company. He's male. So
we love a woman leading men.
Yes.
We love that.
Yes. No,
we love that.
About it. Yes.
And what is something you look for when you're hiring an employee?
I think
is fashion experience a necessity?
Not necessarily, no. For me, what's most important is I think, I can train anyone on anything. I think for me, one thing I really look for, and I mean, I know it sounds like a little bit bizarre, but I just think like genuine kindness, genuine passion for people and helping people, because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing and that's what we're here for. We're here for our clients. And it is a lot. It's a lot of, I feel it's a demanding role all day, every day. I'm wanting to make all of my clients happy, and you have to love people. You have to really want to be so passionate about helping them to thrive in that. So for me, I really look for like just genuine, kind, sweet individuals, because that really is our brand too. We're known to be very, very nice, and that's what I always want to be,
That's so nice in the fashion industry. I have worked for many people who were not very nice, and you don't find that a lot. And I think it's important going into just the new generation of fashion. I feel like our slogan is "It Girls Are Nice Girls." We only interview nice girls. We only feature nice girls. Girls who help each other and support each other and hang out with each other and reach out to each other and send each other stuff and all that. It should be a community, and fashion should be a community. And there's so many times when it's not, and it all comes down to, my mom worked here, or I was here for 5 years, therefore I should be here. And then you end up with these just horror stories of like paying your dues in fashion when you should not have to necessarily.
No,
if you're nice and you're passionate about it, why shouldn't you be in it? So I think
1,000%.
That's amazing. That's really great to hear.
Yes.
Fashion can be a very toxic space.
I agree. It Girls Are Nice Girls. I love that. I did not realize that was a slogan, and I'm so all for that.
Yes, we only do nice girlies. If you're not nice, we don't. Who has time for that?
No,
honestly.
That's it.
The industry will never change if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's so true.
Have you had any negative experiences being an influencer online? Have you ever reached the wrong side of the internet, as they say?
It's so interesting. Touch wood, I have not. And I'm so grateful for that. I think too, because I am quite private, I'm learning to share more. Trying to, I know, but no, I really haven't. And again, touch wood, I hope, I don't know if it'll stay that way forever. I think
one viral moment and then
that is it.
It's scary. No, one viral moment and all of a sudden I've reached the wrong side of the internet and I'm like, take me back. Where are my girls? Where are my people? These are not the people that I wanted to be talking to.
My gosh,
one viral moment, like going viral is really, it's such a, there's two sides of it. It's like, yes, I finally am reaching all these people. And then it's also like, where's my community? Where's my girls? I want my girls back. But I'm glad to hear that. Some of our girls have, some of our girls haven't. They're like, I went viral for this one thing, and then I was on NBC, and the next thing you know, like, or I got refeatured here, and they're like, and I reached the wrong side, and I lost. I mean, they trickle out after a while, and I feel like in fashion, but no it girl is free of, judgment and experiences of just, if you're going to be an it girl and you're going to be out there, there's stay in your fashion realm. That's where you want to be.
Yes.
And our last question. Yes. Who do you think is the ultimate it girl?
Oh, the ultimate it girl for me truly does have to be, can I say two?
Yeah, of course. Anybody that inspires you. It doesn't even have to be somebody famous.
Okay, amazing. So number one is Sofia Richie Grainge.
Such an it girl.
I love her so much. Not only because she has the best style, but she is the nicest human. And then Morgan Stewart. I love Morgan's style. I think she's just such an inspiration. And she is one it girl that's heavily influenced in my DMs. If she's wearing a particular style, I know for certain. And sorry, I have to say three, Hailey Bieber.
Yeah.
Hailey Bieber. I mean, she is that girl.
She really is. Yeah. She wears something, and it's, we talk about her a lot just because I ask everybody who their ultimate it girl, and she comes up so much. So does Sophia. All of them do, honestly. Yes. Sofia Richie does too, and I've only heard such positive things about her, which I love.
Yeah.
But Hailey, it's like she wears something, and it's
game over.
It's crazy. Do you source for Morgan?
I have not sourced from Morgan. No, we're friends. We talk, but I've never actually sourced anything.
She's
for
got
her.
the Chanel in. I feel like
she's
they're calling her every day, being like, "Here, you can have whatever you want," because she really does have just great,
that's very true.
classic yet trendy, and she has a Chanel collection that is.
Her ballet flat collection, for example.
And she was into the ballet flats before everybody else.
Yeah.
She gets so much credit.
I second
She gets
that.
so much credit. And you take requests from anybody. So Morgan Stewart wears a shoe and all the girls want it. Anybody can reach out and say, I want these shoes.
Yes. So one of my slogans is everyone should and deserves to feel like a VIP. So you don't have to have a minimum spend with any of these brands. Even if it's your first bag, your first shoe, whatever it may be, everyone is welcome. I'm so inclusive to all.
Oh, that's so great. Because the stores aren't that way.
I know.
So sometimes it's better to kind of go, you want to have a positive experience. I've had negative experience going, and I'm like, I'm here to spend a lot of money, but if you haven't spent a lot of money in the past, it can be a really intimidating experience.
1,000%. And I felt that as a young girl walking into these stores. So, one of my main motivations is to eliminate that. I don't want anyone to feel like that. So that's
good to know. All the girls can contact you if they're looking for their bags or their shoes. That's so great. Okay, do you want to shout out your socials for us?
Yes. So my personal is Gab Waller, and because of my accent, I should spell Waller. It's WALLER. And then my business is gabwaller.com.
Amazing.
Yes.
I'm at Bailey T. Taylor, at It Girl the Series, at Bespoke TV. Make sure to keep up with Gab. She really does have all of the trends and all of the It Girl pieces. That is the place to go in your Vogue, your monthly Vogue article. That is where you can find all the hot, trending It Girl pieces. And you do such a good job of keeping it very classic and very timeless. Nothing that I would say is frivolous. But thank you so much for listening to the It Girl podcast with our first It Girl, Gab. Couldn't think of anybody better for it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.